Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I've mentioned before that I have a metal detector. In fact, I had it out yesterday, but I didn't find anything good with it. And occasionally find pretty cool coins. And last year I found an 1845 large cent in someone's front lawn, not far from my post office box, believe it or not. And so I often am looking at the ground. It's something you can't get away from after you spend a lot of time metal detecting. And if you see coins on the ground, they catch your attention. Now, if I'm walking along and I see a penny on the ground, I'm talking to somebody, I might not bend down to pick up a penny, but a nickel or a dime, I often will. And so this story caused my brain to go into overload. Mark sent it to me. Dimes and Dash, police investigating dime theft in northeast Philadelphia. Part of the story has a whole sea of dimes spilled across a parking lot. But when you hear how many dimes and where they're coming from and where they're going, the story I think is quite interesting. So this is written by CBS 3 staff and Howard Monroe out of Philadelphia. And you should know that there is a mint in Philadelphia where they actually strike coins. So it's been there for a long, long time, at least the presence of a mint in Philadelphia. Police are investigating a case of dimes and dash. They say a trailer containing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of dimes was broken into overnight inside a Walmart parking lot on Byberry Road in northeast Philadelphia just after 6 a.m. According to police, the truck had about $750,000 in dimes in it. That's got to be a heavy load. And there's a lot of people in the audience, a lot of truck drivers in the audience, and people who drive trucks and haul things. And I'm just guessing that $750,000 in dimes has got to be a heavy load. Investigators believe the thieves got off with about $100,000 in dimes. And here's the question. If you had $100,000 in dimes and you haul them away, number one, that would take some effort. But number two, what do you do with them? Do you take them one roll at a time to your bank and deposit them? Do you take them by the bucket load to a Coinstar and dump in just dime after dime after dime? What do you do with them? I mean, it actually be a logistic problem. The truck was headed to Florida from the Mint, which is located in Old City. Police said the driver picked up the coins from the Mint in Old City Wednesday, and then he drove to the northeast where he lives. Authorities said he parked the trailer in the parking lot and went home to get rest. It's not clear if he's going to face any charges, but a driver said that's not a common practice to leave the trailer unattended. Because remember, what you're carrying is literally cash. So you've got just a truck, this is not an armored truck, just a truck filled with $750,000 in dimes. With me, I can drop it off. That's what I'm supposed to do, but I drop it off in the store for them in the driveway. But you're not supposed to leave it unattended. No, a driver said when asked about this. A helicopter video of the scene showed dimes scattered across the parking lot near Woodhaven Road. And I mean, you could see it from space. I mean, a lot of dimes. Police said they don't believe the driver was targeted, but said while the details of this case are bizarre, cargo thefts are common. So somebody's going by and they see that truck. It's unattended. They look around. It's fairly early in the morning, I believe. Probably not a lot of people around. So the guy walks over, or the gal walks over and busts in there and realizes, oh, it's cash. It's dimes, and starts hauling it off. So they managed to get, they think, about $100,000 worth. I don't know how dimes are shipped from the Mint, because we've seen the dimes in rolls, but I believe that a lot of the coins that come from the Mint come in sacks, like cloth sacks. And so I know that there's people out there who collect Mint era coins. And so the way you find a Mint era coin, the best way, is to get a sack of coins that came from the Mint that has not been searched yet by anybody outside of the Mint. And if you get the sack yourself and you rip it open, you're the first person to look at those after they went through the inspection, and you're hoping that something got by the inspectors. And so I understand that you can go to some banks, go, I'd like to buy a sack of dimes or a sack of nickels next time one comes in. And so I believe it's probably that they were in sacks, and the sack would say U.S. Mint, U.S. government, something on the outside, and then dimes, and then what the quantity was in that sack. So I'm not sure how many there'd be in a sack, but I don't believe it was in the paper rolls. A lot of paper rolls. There's been a lot of cargo thefts here and there in Northeast Philly and South Philadelphia over the ensuing months, where we've had lamb, chicken, TVs, refrigerators, etc. taken, even alcohol. Should have put that at the top of the list. I suspect that's something people would really like to steal. That's a police captain talking there. It took crews hours to clean up the mess, and rightfully so. With $750,000 worth of dimes in that truck, there are perhaps 7.5 million coins to clean up. But again, with the $100,000 missing, that would knock that number down a little bit. The heist gave the neighborhood a rude awakening. I heard the helicopter, so I looked out the window and saw everything blocked off, and I was like, what is possibly going on? One nearby resident asked, rhetorically. And you'll also recall there have been stories about armored trucks going down the road, the doors flopping open and money falling out, and people scrambling to grab it like they're on a game show. And I remember seeing the story about an armored truck going on the street and coins falling out, and people scooping up the coins and running from the scene with scooped up coins, and people arguing and fighting with the cops going, no, but I found it in the street, it's mine. And of course, there's the famous story. They made a movie out of John Cusack about the guy who finds the money that fell off the truck, and he took it and he spent it. And I believe that they took him to trial on that, and a jury found him not guilty. Basically on the theory that, can you blame him? I mean, we can read what the laws say, and the law would say that if you saw it fall off the truck, it ain't yours. But if you grabbed it when you realized what it was, I mean, come on, haven't we all kind of fantasized about that? And so that was, of course, a fascinating story that got a lot of attention. And then they made it into a movie, and John Cusack's in the movie, and I like John Cusack a lot. So, but I can tell you that cleaning up dimes like that would be a mess. You literally have to use like shovels and brooms, and then somebody's probably got to get down there and pick them up individually, the last ones, after you've scooped up as many as you can with a shovel, and you've broomed as many as you can into a dustpan, and then it's literally just pick them up. And then they got to take them and probably count all the sacks that aren't opened, and you can do that pretty quickly. And then somebody's got to count all the dimes that are loose, and then do the math and figure out how much got stolen, and then try to figure out who stole them. And like I said, here's the problem. These are all modern mintage, I assume 2023 dimes, and somebody now has $110,000 worth of them. And how do you dispose of them? And, you know, I mean, you could mix them into your change and spend them over the next 20 years. But somebody, I suspect, would rather just take them out and somehow cash them into money that they can spend a little less conspicuously. And that would be harder to do, I think. So we'll see what happens. But one thing about criminals is quite often they get caught because they do things that are not terribly wise. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody walks into a Coinstar location with a sack of coins and starts dumping them into the Coinstar. And somebody goes, wait, how often do we see that? Oh, wait, didn't somebody just steal a whole bunch of those sacks of coins? So we'll see. In case you're curious, I mentioned the metal detector top. I used to do a lot of metal detecting, and I still do. I just don't get out as often as I like. Last summer, I found an 1845 large cent, buffalo nickel, a bunch of Indian head pennies. And I found all kinds of cool stuff, and I decided to check to see what the oldest dime was that I found, the oldest dime. And I found an 1853 dime at a sidewalk tear-out in Milford, Michigan, a few years back. And that is the oldest dime I found. Now, the oldest silver I found is an 1837 half dime, which is a 5-cent silver piece that they were using before they made nickels. And so the half dime is smaller than a dime, dated 1837, which is fascinating because 1837 is the year that Michigan became a state. Now, it wasn't dropped or lost in 1837. It's got some wear to it. It was dropped later, but the date is significant in that respect. The oldest coin I found is an 1806 or 1807 large cent. And a large cent is, in essence, a 1-cent piece issued by the U.S. Mint, I think, up until about 1855. And they were larger than what our pennies are today. But it was worth a cent, but they made them smaller, downsized them with the Flying Eagle penny, then the Indian head, then the Lincoln, and so on. And so the large cents are cool. They're very, very uncommon in my part of the country. But you find them from time to time, and it's a big target, and the detector will find it if it's within 8 or 12 inches of the surface. So I found 5 of those to date One last summer, 1845. The oldest one, 1800 something. And I found 5 of those. But the oldest dime I found is 1853. So there you go. But an interesting story. Mark, thanks for sending it. Dimes and Dash, police investigating dime theft in Northeast Philadelphia. They were hot off the presses or fresh from the mint. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. A supreme accomplishment is to blur the line between work and play.